The 10 years. There's a line in Buddhist teaching that says, fear is not what happens to us, it's what we carry after. And for 10 years, I carried it everywhere. I won't tell you yet what I was afraid of, not because it's shocking, but because it doesn't matter. You already know what it feels like to carry something like this. Maybe not the same fear, but the same weight. For 10 years, it was there before I opened my eyes in the morning. It sat with me at breakfast. It rode in the car with me to work. Quiet, patient, never once announcing itself. Just present. Like a second heartbeat I'd stopped noticing because it never stopped. I built my life around it without realizing I was doing that. I chose the quieter path instead of the better one. I said, maybe next year, more times than I can count. I told myself I was being careful, being smart, being realistic. I had 100 reasonable-sounding reasons for every door I didn't walk through.
That's the strange thing about fear that lasts this long. It doesn't feel like fear anymore. It feels like personality. It feels like that's just how I am. You stop noticing the bars because you've spent so long living inside them that they start to look like the walls of a house you chose. 10 years is a long time to live like that. Long enough that I stopped asking, why am I afraid? And started asking, how do I manage this? Which, if you think about it, is a strange question. It assumes the fear is permanent. It assumes the only job left is to build a life small enough to fit around it. I did that. I built a small life, a safe one, a managed one. And it worked in the sense that the fear never grew any bigger, but it also never left. 10 years of managing it, and the fear was exactly as strong on year 10 as it was on day 1. Maybe stronger. Because now it had a decade of evidence behind it, a decade of me proving over and over that avoiding it was the right call. So here's the question I eventually had to sit with, the one this video is really about. If 10 years of avoiding something doesn't make it go away, what does?
Why fear doesn't go away on its own. Here's what I didn't understand for 10 years. Fear isn't designed to disappear. It's designed to protect. That's its only job. And a mind that's only job is protection will never volunteer to stand down, no matter how many years pass. Think about how fear actually works. It doesn't wait for proof. It doesn't need evidence. All it needs is the idea of danger, and it will treat that idea as real. This is why a locked door doesn't stay locked in the mind of someone afraid of break-ins. They check it. They walk away. They come back and check it again. Not because the door changed, because fear doesn't update. It doesn't learn. It just repeats the question forever, waiting for a certainty that never arrives. That's the trap I was living inside without realizing it. Every time I avoided the thing I feared, I told myself I was being careful. But avoidance isn't caution. Avoidance is a message sent straight to the oldest part of the brain, the part that doesn't speak in words, only in feelings. And the message is always the same. See, that thing really was dangerous. Good thing we stayed away. Every time you avoid a fear, you don't weaken it, you vote for it. You confirm it. You hand it more evidence to rule your next decade the way it ruled the last one. This is the part almost no one tells you. Fear doesn't need you to fail at the thing you're afraid of. It only needs you to never test it. As long as the question stays unanswered, fear gets to keep answering it for you. And it will always answer with the worst case version, because that's the only language it knows. So for 10 years, I wasn't managing my fear. I was feeding it. Quietly, reasonably. One avoided moment at a time. And once I saw that clearly, the old question I'd been asking, how do I manage this, stopped making sense. You don't manage a fire by leaving it alone in a dry field. You don't starve something by feeding it every day. there was only one real question left. Not how do I live around this fear, but what happens if I finally walk toward it?
I didn't know the answer yet, but for the first time in 10 years, I wanted to find out what I did and what changed. So I did the one thing 10 years of avoidance had never let me try. I walked toward it. Not all at once. That's not how this works. And if anyone tells you it is, they've never actually lived inside real fear. I started small. The smallest version of the thing I'd spent a decade running from. Small enough that my hands still shook, but small enough that I could stand there and not run. And nothing happened.
That's the part I wasn't ready for. Not a disaster, not the catastrophe I'd rehearsed 10,000 times in my head. Just nothing. A door that turned out to be exactly as locked or unlocked as it actually was, not as fear had insisted it was. So I did it again, a little bigger, and again a little bigger than that. Each time the same quiet non-event. Each time some small, stubborn part of my mind updating a file it had refused to touch for 10 years. Maybe this isn't what I thought it was. I want to be honest. The fear didn't vanish in one afternoon. It didn't announce its surrender. It just got quieter, exchange by exchange. The way a room gets quieter once you finally turn and face whoever's been talking behind you the whole time. What changed wasn't the danger. The danger, if it was ever really there, was the same danger it had always been. What changed was that I stopped letting an old, untested idea run my life in its place. I stopped voting for the fear every time I looked away from it. 10 years I spent building a smaller life to fit around something I'd never actually tested. And it took walking toward it, slowly, imperfectly, more than once, to learn what avoidance could never teach me. That the thing I feared and the thing I understood were not the same thing at all. I think that's what freedom actually is. Not the absence of fear walking in the door. It's what's left once you finally stop letting it answer questions on your behalf. I don't know what you've been avoiding for 10 years or 10 months or 10 days, but I know this, it won't leave on its own. It's not supposed to. Only you walking toward it can do that. As always, this is just what I've come to understand through my own experience, not advice for yours. If you've faced something like this, I'd love to hear how in the comments.